Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. Well, good morning. It's 5:30 on Saturday, the 24th of April. I'm not making my way down to the land. I'm actually on the land and waking up as I stopped over last night, having made one of those flashlight review videos. As always, not quite sure what we're going to get done today, but let's find out. Well, it's always nice to see the fire, and especially on a frosty morning. Well, there's something that you don't see every day. Got the car parked outside the cabin. Good morning, chickens. Cockerel was waking me up. Ridiculous o'clock this morning. I think he started about 4:30. Good morning. They're all quite content. I'm going to just pop my car back across at the entrance to the field. I just popped it down by the side of the cabin, just really for a bit of security and to stop people taking an interest if it was parked on the entrance there. Got the fire going. Didn't know how cold it was going to be this morning, so I didn't have the fire on at all last night. It was actually still sunny when I came down after work, but I could have done with it when I woke up this morning, I have to confess. Anyway, kettle's on boiling, so let me get the car up to the entrance to the field and I'll catch up with you shortly. Well, here we are. Back to normal. Sun is trying to get out, but it's a little bit hazy. It's a little bit cool as well. There is actually a little bit of frost. Not sure if you can see where I've driven across the field or not. But there is a bit of frost on the ground. But it is shaping up. Looks like it might be a nice day today. I'm hoping it does warm up. Lots of little jobs to do today, and I want to take a look at the planting. We have had frost through the week. I'm hoping now that we're seeing the back of those and we'll start to get some decent weather. It was a bit of a worry having those seedlings in the raised beds during this week, but they seem to have survived, and I'll show you those shortly. But I do want to get myself a cup of coffee and a little bit of something to eat. Well, good morning. It's another frosty morning this morning. Really nice to wake up at the cabin this morning. A world of difference. I spent a fair bit of time last night just lying on the bed there looking through the window. Amazing amount of wildlife kicking around the field, from sort of pheasants, geese, rabbits, lots and lots of pigeons, and through pretty much all hours of the night. It's quite surprising how much there is just roaming around this little patch by the cabin here. Cockerel woke me up about 4:30. There was a contest between him and Gary, the neighbour's cockerel, as to who could shout the loudest, the earliest in the morning. But still very, very nice way to wake up. It has been cold all this week. It's been a bizarre week of weather. A few people have made some comments in previous videos. We've had some quite hard frosts through the week, tapering off towards the weekend, which has been a bit of a challenge and a bit of a worry for the seedlings I've got growing, both in the polytunnel, the garden room, and of course outside now in the raised beds. What's been more bizarre has been the change in temperature from freezing temperatures in the morning through to probably around 11 o'clock, 11:30, where we've had a fair few days of really strong sun and high temperatures through the afternoons. So that in itself has created another problem, in that I've had to try and keep on top of watering. So I've popped in twice on the way home from work, I think it was Tuesday, Thursday, to check on the chickens, make sure that their food and water's okay, but also to run around with a watering can. So a bit of a challenge, and unseasonably so this early in the year. Normally March, April we've got rain, and this year so far we've not. So thankfully I have got water on store in the IBC containers, but we could really do with some now, to make sure that they keep topped up, but also to make sure that the water barrels at the garden room and the chicken coop get filled. So fingers crossed. The forecast's not looking good for rain. There is a slight chance, according to the forecast, that we'll get some on Thursday, but that seems a long way off right now. Anyway, enough of the weather. A few things to do today. Bit of tidying up. I've got an unboxing which is connected with the bees. You'll have seen me building the beehive last weekend. That was more of a chore than I expected it to be, it has to be said. But it's all a good learning curve. I'm gaining a lot of experience now on a whole range of things, not just the bees. But there's a little bit more on that subject today. Do definitely want to get on top of some chores in the garden, whether that's reseeding trays that haven't been so successful, repotting some of the seedlings that have and are now getting far too leggy for their own good, and maybe a little bit more planting out, perhaps potatoes, who knows. I'll keep you posted as we go through the day. Lots of stuff happening in the world. I've touched on these in a few previous videos. Massive problems with COVID in India. Can't say it's unsurprising, because they haven't really been seen to be doing that much in terms of vaccinations, lockdowns, and there have been lots of mass gatherings through religious festivals there. So it shouldn't really be a surprise that they're in such dire straits now in terms of numbers. The Russian troop build-up on the Ukraine border has gone away. They've all gone home. I would keep an eye on things like that though, because I think you'll find this year, more as a distraction technique than anything else, lots of media stories about threats from China and Russia. They're political. There's not really anything that, unless he decided to do World War III, of course, the China and Russia stories are really there as distractions, to distract us from what will definitely be the big challenge this year of the economy. The inevitable crash has been delayed by can kicking by governments around the world, extending some of the COVID economic and people support mechanisms, such as job retention, forbearance on mortgage repayments and house repossessions. All of those have been kicked down the road until September here in the UK, and similarly around the world. There's a massive issue there. We are starting to see signs of it impacting on supply chain, but again the focus has been around microchips for electronic goods, rather than the real big concern potentially of food supply chain. So certainly something to keep an eye on there. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you are staying safe and well. It is the weekend, so do be sure to kick back and enjoy your time off work this weekend. And do also keep on top of your preps, because for sure by the end of the year you are going to need them. My big driver this year was around food and trying to be more self-sustaining in food. I've talked about it numerous times. It is a big thing for me this year. I'm taking the opportunity this year, while I can, to learn a lot more about planting, to experiment to see what works and what doesn't in terms of extending the growing season, and seeing how much I can physically produce. It hasn't got off to the world's greatest start, it has to be said, but again, it is a learning experience, and if you don't try, you're never going to know. And I'd rather try now and be unsuccessful and learn from that to be successful, rather than try when something hit the fan and my life depended on it, only to find that it didn't work. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be well, enjoy, make the most of the opportunities you've got. Everything is still working in the world, so don't neglect the opportunity to keep topping up on your preps, keep building your learning experience on all aspects of prepping. But this year in particular, I've said it numerous times so far this year, do try and focus on building your experience and knowledge about planting, and do try to, whatever space you have, to experiment with planting, learn how to grow your own food, because for sure you'll be grateful of that knowledge at some point down the line. Anyway, lots of things for me to get cracked on with. I'll show you progress as we go through the day. I need to go and check on the chickens. I got 2 eggs last night when I called in on the way home from work. Hopefully there'll be some more today, but I'm sure that they're going to want some attention, some tidying up in the coop, some food and water topping up. So I'll keep you posted as we go through the day. First things first is the chickies. I'm just going to do a little bit of a top up on food and this grit or oyster shell. What have we got here, chaps? What's this? There we go. The blacktails, which are actually the red ones, are certainly the more tame, less nervy, but they are a little bit older, and I think, in all honesty, they've probably had a few more, bit more contact with people than the bluebells, the grey ones. They are still very, very skittish. They are gradually getting used to me. I mean, I came to the door to the coop and started calling them, and they all popped out into the pen. So they are gradually getting used to me being around and generally feeling a bit more confident around me. There we go. Get yourself tucked in, which is good. I don't want them being nervous of me. Still trying to establish their little pecking order as who's the top hen. But the good news is that despite the odd little squabble here and there, the new 2 arrivals have settled in well. No evidence of real bullying. I thought there might have been, but right now, no. Anyway, let me get cracked on with this. I'll top up the feed and water, and we'll see if we've got any eggs. Bit early, but you never know. While they're busy outside, I'll just take a little quick look inside. Floor, actually, to be fair, is not too bad. It wants spreading out a little bit because they it looks like they tend to scratch around and make holes in some places. Nothing in the nest boxes this morning, but again, that's not a big surprise. So I think what I'll do now, I'll just tidy up in here a little bit, and then we'll go and take a look at the planting. Well, that's the chicken coop sorted out. A bit more fresh sawdust and wood shavings on the floor. Topped up the water. Feed is actually okay, and I've just put a bit more straw into the nest boxes there, just to encourage them a little bit. So that's that job done. We'll get everything put away and we'll go take a little look at the planting. Don't know if you'll see this clearly on the video or not because I'm zoomed in, but we've got a huge population of wood pigeons around the field. They are everywhere. Most of them have flown off as they've seen me come out of the cabin. But they are the culprits that's responsible for this. Those cauliflowers that had survived all the way through the winter have now been decimated by the pigeons. No sign of life yet in these barrels with these potatoes, but to be fair, that's not a big surprise at all, given that they've only recently gone in. We have managed to hang on to those swede seedlings that I put in. They've survived the frost and the high temperatures, thankfully. Similarly, the onions that I put in, now coming through really well. Pretty much 100% success rate with what's come through versus what I planted. And the garlic, both old and new, looking very nice. Let's take a little peek inside the polytunnel. The big concern with these potatoes, you'll remember that they got hammered with frost, but thankfully they are all recovering. Just get rid of that little bit of weed. So all of those pots have managed to hang in there, which is great news. There's a couple of stray swedes there, and then there's this forest of strawberries, and surprise, surprise, they're even putting flowers out. How nice is that? I really do need to get a bed made for those to get them outside, but I am worried, of course, about those bloody pigeons. Everything else in here is hanging in. The old fig tree that got decimated is putting out some new leaf growth on these tips that got really hammered with the frost, and it's putting out, which is nice to see, some quite strong shoots at the base which will help to fill it out. Lots of other buds appearing on these stems, so I'm not too worried that the damage is irreparable, because it isn't. There's new leaves coming through on those. The old blueberry bush going completely crazy with flowers very early on. I don't think it'll be too long before we're getting some berries on those. The apple trees and pear trees all doing well. We've got some blossoms appearing, which again is fairly early, but they're all doing well. Some quite nice blossoms on this one. So pleased with those. They're going to stay where they are though for now. I am real nervous about putting these outside, given what happened last year. I'll leave them in here for a while yet. Let's take a little stroll across to the garden room, see what's in there. Definitely some work to be done in here today. Marigolds, I'm not sure whether to pop those on or whether to put them straight out into the beds. Undecided. Still no sign yet of the tomato and cucumber, but again, that's very early yet. They only went in, what, a week and a half ago? 2 weeks? Not sure. Really pleased with these true potato seeds. Getting all of their secondary leaves through now. And some of them are starting to look like, I don't know if it'll focus or not. Will it focus? No, it's not going to. Oh, there we go. What you would class as proper potato leaves come in now. recognisable as potato. These are going to get pulled out. These cauliflower and cabbage, the leggy seedlings are going to get pulled out, as is that weed. And potted on, and then I'll probably reseed these trays with some fresh compost and seed. Broccoli doing very well, they're ready for potting on, and that borage also strong. I think what I'll do actually while I'm here is just quickly turn that tray around, because the ones that were in the shade there obviously aren't growing as well. On the other side, a little forest of carrots going on now in these 2 buckets. When were they planted? 27th of March they went in, and we're on, so it's a month. So some of those can get thinned out and probably into these other pots that have got hardly anything going on in them. And then these more recent plantings, still no sign of anything coming through in there. Oh, hang on, just a minute, I've spoken too soon. There's a tiny little shoot just there, look. So it looks like those. Oh, and there, one in that bucket as well. The more you look, the more you find. That's a weed. I'll get rid of that. Yeah, so we're starting to recover the carrots. I've got a few pots prepared there for potatoes. I have got some potatoes that have chitted, so I might be tempted to fill maybe 2 of those this weekend as a bit of succession planting. Leave the other 2 for another couple of weeks before I put anything in those. So that's the planting. Successes and a couple of failures, but we'll not get too disheartened. As I said earlier, it is still early in the season, and this is actually what it's about. It's finding out what works and what doesn't, how early on in the season. I know I can plant late, because I proved that theory last year. This year's been all about how soon can I plant, given the conditions I've got here, i.e. no heating in either the polytunnel or the garden room. So I'll get cracked on, do a little bit more. I've got an unboxing for you, and a bit of planting to do. Chickens are very happy in their little home. I might just be tempted to have a coffee before I do the next bit. Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be too long before I can start planting out in this last raised bed. So with that in mind, I've took the cover off, and the netting that has degraded over the last year and a bit, I've stripped that back, got some fresh netting, and now the joy of trying to attach that to the framework begins. Well, that's been a bit of a fiddle, and as usual taken longer than I thought, but we've got a new cover on that raised bed, so that's ready for plants to be transplanted into it now. I guess I've just got to decide what's going in there. Well, here's the mystery box. It's a little bit large, so I'm hoping that when I take it out of the box, I'll still have enough space left on the floor to show you it. This is literally an unboxing as we go. Now, wouldn't you know it, the label is the wrong way up. So I've opened the bottom. Anyway, let's see if we can do this without too much banging and crashing. Is it going to come out? Lots of stuff crashing around inside, but this is a honey extractor for my bees. Now I'm excited to see what's inside here, and I'm not honestly sure. Oh, there we go. So that's the lid off. I think what I'll do is I'll grab the camera off the tripod and show you what's inside. So as you can see, we've got a big stainless steel drum with a stainless steel lid that locks into place. It's on like a hook at this end, and then as it comes down there's a little hasp on this end. Now inside we've got a wire basket that rotates. There's a couple of components sat in the bottom. I've got to fish those out. The first of which, this white thing, is a drain plug. So that screws into that outlet in the bottom of the drum, so that you've got a little valve there to extract the honey. But the honey extraction process, if I can get my hand into the bottom of that barrel, live unboxings. You've got a little handle. Now that fits onto the side here, and by using that handle, which just attaches on there, you're able to turn the handle, which in turn rotates the wire basket inside. So the idea is that you take your frames out of the beehive, you drop them down into this rotating basket, so one in there, turn it, another one in there, and then by turning the handle on the outside you spin the basket, and centrifugal force then makes the honey inside the frame from the hive. As it spins, it throws the honey out to the outside of the steel drum, which obviously runs down, settles in the bottom, and you can then extract it out of that valve. So I'll put the camera down for a second, just assemble this, get the handle on, get the valve on, and I'll grab an empty frame out of the hive here and show you how that works. I've still got my pellets for my 2-2 air rifle sat on there from last night. I was stalking a rabbit in the dark, but he got the better of me. That's another story. So yeah, let me get this sorted out. There's some protective film that wants stripping off. I don't know whether to bother stripping that off or not. I mean, I'm going to have a shiny drum, but are you really bothered if I peel the plastic off or not? I can't say that I am particularly. Well, there's a finished article. I decided to peel that plastic off. Handle's attached so it spins the frames inside. The valve's attached so that you can, this needs to slide out a little bit, unscrew that and then release the honey out of the bottom of the extractor machine. So very pleased with that. All I need now is some bees and some honey. Very nice. Well, I've decided I'm going to get some more plants out into this new raised bed, but while I'm out here, don't know if you can see the field. Can you see how many daffodils there are? Sorry, how many dandelions there are? It's a bit like last year. The field is absolutely covered in them. Unbelievable amount. Anyway, I'm going to get some of these broccoli seedlings. They're getting really leggy, so I'm going to take a chance and get them popped in this new raised bed. I don't know how well you'll see this on the video, but I've been into planting marigolds in amongst these Swedes all the way down, and then also that new bed I've got all of those broccoli in, and again I've interspaced with there's one there, there's a couple more here. I've interspersed with those marigolds. Hopefully the scent of those will distract or dissuade the insect critters. So we've got broccoli down this side, and then those few stragglers of cabbage and cauliflower there in there as well. I've also taken the opportunity to just mound up those potatoes again, so they're up to the top of the containers now. Hopefully that'll encourage them to fill the entire container rather than just the bottom bit. So that's that bit done. Time to get something done in the garden room, because time as usual is just flying by. So I've been busy replacing the soil in these trays that had the cabbage and the cauliflower in. This was probably my biggest failure this year with the seed germination. Very few of them actually came out. I think I had about 4 or 5 in each tray. Wasn't any at all. So I've repotted, I've given them a good watering. I've got water in the tray underneath, and I'm going to plant this first tray now. So there's 15 cells there with cauliflower, because I do eat a lot of cauliflower, and last year wasn't too great success, but certainly better than the broccoli. So I'm going to try a bit more fastidiously this year. It's a good word, isn't it? Fastidiously. Harder, more thorough. With the cauliflowers this year. I mean, in all fairness, my biggest disaster last year was caterpillars. So hopefully this year things like the nasturtium planting in between might just help me to have a better harvest. We'll see. It's all an experiment at the end of the day. And you are at the mercy of Mother Nature, unless of course you're in a super duper aquaponics or hydroponics set up indoors, which clearly I'm not. So I'll plant this tray up now, and then I'll give it a couple of weeks, probably a bit more than a couple, probably 3 or 4 weeks, and plant another one and see how we get on. So that's cauliflower. Next on the agenda, it should be home actually, but I'm determined to do something with these true potato seeds. So I've got a couple of bigger pots, and I'll just very, very carefully try and prick out, because the roots system on these won't be, you won't have a big root ball, it'll be a thin spindly little root system. So I'll try and get them out of the cell as best I can. If I can get them out intact, great, I'll put them in as they are, but they just want a bit more space, and they want a little bit of thinning out, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 there. Oh, there's another one growing there. So I'll get those divided up into a couple of decent sized pots and grow them on from there. Well, this is a little bit fiddly, to say the least. I've got to try and get these out without causing major carnage. We'll try and get this one first. Oh, that's not too bad actually. That's come out in a cell, so that makes life a lot easier. I'll just plant them down a little bit under the soil. So they're not quite as spindly. They are potatoes after all. Now will I be so lucky with this one? Yep, to be fair, that's not bad. And again, I'll just build that up. And I'll do one more in here. In fact, do you know what? I'm tempted to do 2 in each, and then I'll go and get another bucket, because I have got quite a few of these buckets that are already got soil in them. So I'm just building around the leaves just to give them a bit more support. I think I'll put one more in there, and then I'll go and get another bucket. So I'll show you the finished article once it's done. Really going to plant a couple of these containers with some potatoes that's busy chitting. So let's get a few of these popped in there. I think I'll only do 2 buckets or 2 containers, and then leave the others to do succession planting in about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks time. Now, I've got plenty of potatoes, there's no shortage of potatoes with chits on. So I've got plenty to go at. I just don't want to overdo it at the start, because I have got quite a few planted out now. Oh, one more. Right, we'll give those a water in. A little bit of compost on there. I've dug them in, but I'll just put a little bit more on top. Bit disappointing, this latest batch of compost. I'm finding lots of this. Really great pieces of wood in amongst the compost. I think they've been in a bit of a rush when they've made this. They've tried to push it through quickly, which is not helping the quality at all. Anyway, that's those potatoes in. I'll give those a quick water. I've got to water around the chickens' vegetable patch as well. I almost forgot that. That's him telling me to do it. So I'll get that done and it'll soon be time to go. Well, that's everything watered. I've just popped these true potato seeds into the into that little covered bed. It won't actually cover now with those pots in there, not properly anyway, and I'll sort those out tomorrow. I'll make a decision as to where to put them. There's a little bee trying to, come on, outside, come on, there you go. Don't want him trapped inside here. Let's take a quick run to the chicken coop, see if the girls have produced anything for me. There was a bit of clucking and squawking. Hard to see where they all are. I think they're all out there. We'll soon find out, I guess. Oh, look at that. As soon as I walk in the door. 2 in there. Nothing. A feather. But that's good, because that's a grey feather. That means the grey ones are going in there. They keep popping them into these boxes, these end 2 boxes by the door. Hello, little girl. You come to see what's happening? Are you going to pop in here now and lay another one? I'm going to steal these 2. Right, let me get out the way quickly. Maybe she wants to be in the nest box, I don't know. But thank you, that's 2 more today to join my little collection. Everyone seems content enough. These 2 always come, these 2 blacktails. If you can see the blacktail on there or not. But that's why they're called blacktails. Right, let me get everything closed up because time is pushing by. I need to get home, get these videos done and get something to eat. Well, that's everything locked up and put away. It's amazing how quick the day goes. So I'm going to get myself off home. It'd take forever to get the videos uploaded and I've got 2 to do. I hope I get at least one of them done. I don't know if you can see on the video. I can't quite see on the screen, but can you see all those dandelions? There are just millions and millions of them. And it's a shame because there's a lot of stuff you can do with dandelions. I don't know how long these are going to be out for. If they're still here next weekend in such huge numbers, I might collect a few buckets of them and do a little video. But for now, I'm going to get myself in the car, get off home, and I'll catch you all later. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also, feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. How's the planting looking now? We're gradually expanding out into fill all of those raised beds. I've only got half of one left. I'm going to have to sort out the polytunnel at some point before much longer. Otherwise there'll be nowhere for the new seedlings to go to. And how about that honey extractor? I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to getting started with the bees. And of course I'll share my progress with you. In the meantime, if you've got any comments on today's video, please do leave it in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.